Time the students went back to the printed books. They wanted to go back and let children concentrate on what Indians love the most, handwriting. Give them more time to practice. Got me thinking, are we moving from that world where we spoke about IQ, EQ, DQ so much during COVID to this world which is, thanks to Dr. Swaroop, back on the table, which is AQ, art. And art integration is what I call AIQ. All you educators will know it's very important to get that dexterity. It's very important for cognitive development. I love technology, very, very passionate about what it enables, but I still write. And what is that form of writing that we begin with early childhood? Art. It's that brush, it's that paper, it's that pen in a child's hand, and it starts off with scribbling. So ma'am, you've got the timing really right because you're placed perfectly well. And because the topic is art and art integration in subjects, I might remind you, a lot of you would not have read this article, but please go ahead and read it. It comes from the professor and dean of the deemed Christ University in Bengaluru. John Kennedy talks about it beautifully to say, humanities is a forgotten art. We keep saying STEM, STEAMs, all of that, but art played a very small part in it. It's still more traditional with mechanical engineering, math, sciences, they still hold that importance. So ma'am, your book, Time to Perfection, because you're actually bringing us and reminding us that the future of education maybe with arts integration, and thank you for reminding us in the primary years for that. Okay, we've got the context in place now. We're going to talk about why this is important. Swati ma'am, always in the hot seat to answer my difficult question. I begin with you, the Iron Lady of Early Childhood Education. Why was this forgotten? Why do we not make that connect enough? Why don't we do it as much as we talk about it in conferences? Why is art and art integration so relevant for that left and right brain development?
So I would say, why was it not relevant? If I ask all of you, if I ask you to draw a house, all of you will draw a same looking house. You will draw a roof, 2 windows and a door. That's what we've been brought up to draw. I always say I blame the art teacher in every school, because she destroyed art for all of us, or he destroyed art for us. And your left brain is a thinking brain, your right brain loves to play. Art actually helps you bridge both the brains together. And I think as Indians, we want children to scroll writing all the time, but we forget that if my eyes can see patterns, my hands will write patterns. So look at the lovely art forms we have in India. And now if we all of us go to buy toys, there are so many toys available with Indian art forms, jigsaw puzzles, dominoes. So I would urge schools and educators and parents, invest in these toys and give them to your children. So from childhood, their exposure to art would be great, and that would lead to art integration.
Super. So she's talked about two very relevant contexts. I beg your pardon. So Francis, I'm going to bring you in this conversation as the sole representative of the male gene. Interesting. Is this a phenomena because you've directed so many schools nationally and internationally? Is this common in international schools and we find this lacking in national schools? Is this a policy directive that art integration should be part of the curriculum? Your thoughts on it, do be honest.
So, thank you ma'am for inviting me and inviting a student who never used art while at school. Trust me, because I never got a teacher and this was so overdue. But coming to your point, I think it's all left to the teacher, right? Nothing is restricted. No one tells what not to teach. It's up to the teacher to use various ways, especially art, to actually engage with children. And I mean, when you talk about integrating with other subjects, I mean, no one said don't do it. right? There were a lot of examples where teachers are doing it, right? I feel that if ever you try to give a mandate, then they do it the wrong way. So actually, it's a calling in my view. Like teaching as a calling, art integration, I think it's a calling. And ma'am, thank you for actually bringing it up.
Yeah.
Because so many children are lost in these classrooms.
Yeah.
Very much, yeah.
So well fielded, well answered, because you've kept those political questions away. And with the press in attendance, please give him a round of applause for that very diplomatic answer. I have one for you right now, which is if it's left to the teacher, it's also about teacher motivation, because ma'am, I don't have those many periods. I have to do English, then I have to do math, then I have to do sciences. I'm not even an art teacher, so why should I be taking it up and I don't know how to do it? Can I just teach? How do you motivate that teacher as a principal?
So, as you said, it's a very, very tough question. And obviously, the problem here, Fatima, is the subject teachers know no knowledge of art, and the art teachers no knowledge of the subjects. So, when you want them to do any curriculum mapping and you tell them, look, when you're doing mathematics and symmetry, can you do something? They don't know what symmetry to do in art.
Correct.
So, the art teachers and all this is a huge gap. And this gap is a problem that nobody's able to, come across and support each other. So, this is what happens. So to motivate them, I think every teacher should be given a mandatory course in art. So the B.Ed people need to now bring in art, so that if they bring in, then obviously we'll know where to fill the gaps.
Next question to Swati Popat Vats. Boss lady, please tell us, how does this teacher training work? I think to a large extent, we're going to have to say that Dr. Swaroop has answered a lot of that through a beautiful, by the way, handbook for teachers. She's not left it to imagination. You don't know how to do it here. Look at the handbook, ask the questions, know the technique, connect local, which is global and local. She's not left anything to imagination in case you don't have imagination. So thank you for that. But Swati ma'am, please answer this tough question about
I was a
mandating.
teacher. I would say I would put the blame fair and square, sorry to say this, on parents. Because however much a teacher tries to bring art into the curriculum or a school brings art into the curriculum, the parents ultimately come back to the three that they want, which is reading, writing and number work. And that is where I think Swaroop's books are going to help. It's the integration part. Because I think teachers know about art. In fact, all of us. Tell me, when you sit in a boring lecture, what do you do with your pen?
Draw the picture of the
We are
teacher.
artists at that time. क्या doodling के designs बनाते हैं हम? If we could just sell them. If one guy can sell a banana pasted on a wall, I think we should sell our designs. But it is very important for us to understand we need to change parent mindsets. So I would urge Chetna that if you really want these books to do well, do a lot of parent orientation workshops about the benefit of art integration into the curriculum. Because these children who are going to grow up are going to go in a world where art and creativity are going to be required, whatever job you are going to be in. Otherwise, you're going to be like the blackberry, completely extinct. So it's very, very important that art is connected to creativity. Creativity is connected to innovation. Innovation is what will give you your jobs or your business, and that is why it's important in our life.
So coming back to this, often it's a debate between the left and right. We think about this very seriously, about sciences, about math, and then we think about humanities. This art series through Creative Connect connects that interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. Essentially what we're saying is the world comes very simply together if it's linked to all subject areas and we learn as a whole. So I think the audience needs to hear it. How do you connect? How do you make it so much fun for the children to learn and therefore make it relevant? A little more emphasis, because I think the book beautifully captures that, so you may want to bring out some elements.
Yeah, and I think Kavita a little bit touched upon it. So I think it is very important that teachers should work together, because integration will never happen till the time everyone comes together. And actually, I mean, I've seen in many of our schools also, I mean, where teachers actually spend time together. It's not, they have a staff room not to eat, have lunch, but to collaborate. Corridors are used for collaboration, and they come in and say, okay, this is what I'm teaching, and what can you do? I mean, even you can integrate with music and different ways. I mean, I've seen once in one of our schools, we used to have a person who used to play wonderful guitar. He used to just go around in classrooms and just, play guitar class by class. So integration is totally possible, because till the time you do not integrate well, because when you teach about science, there are so many forms, patterns which you can bring and you can integrate. But it requires, like she also mentioned about teacher training, it's very important. Motivation and training is very, very critical. Teachers have so much at plate, right? Thanks to the parent pressure and the mark pressure. You have to loosen them up, for which first you need to reduce the number of periods per week, because then they have more time to think and plan and meet and collaborate, which is happening in environments where there is more time for teachers. If there are no times, if they are taking 40 periods in a week, don't expect any integration, because they don't have time.
My favorite part in the book was, it was tough. When you have a series, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I go with the senior citizens, grade 5. The book that stand out for me was because there was one chapter in the book that spoke about the heart through Picasso's lens. It also spoke about the heart through M.F. Hussein's lens. So when someone tells me, no, it's only international or it's only national, it's not true. Art actually is that transversal competency that breaks across, like a nice line. So there is an option of using printed books to connect with the digital world and find the balance that we're seeking. Swati ma'am, need you to talk about that balance, because through this, there is a lot that can be done outside of the books as well. It just creates that spark. You spoke about creativity, you spoke about imagination. You can also speak about what that means in terms of creating impact. Talk a little bit about this.
So basically, the eye and the hand, the brain needs the eye and the hand to work together. So when you are on a mobile phone, yes, your eye and hand are involved, but your sympathetic nervous system goes on a high drive. So which means if you are on social media, you must have seen the article recently which said that people who watch reels in the night get high blood pressure. So it's very important for us to understand that screens are great fun. This is the beta generation which is coming up. But unless and until you don't give them concrete things to do with their hands and their eyes, they will not be able to handle their emotions. So there is a connect between your body and your brain. So the lesser you use your body, the sluggish your brain is going to become, which means it's going to lead to mental health issues. Now, if you see the kind of activities which are given in this book, the kind of art forms that the children will be doing are not only thinking art forms, they are creating art forms, and they're going to use very different fine motor skills when they are doing each of these. So when I am drawing a circle, the skill required and my finger grip required is very different from when I'm going to draw a design. So it's very, very important for parents to understand this balance, that yes, you can't live in a world without mobile phones or screens or your whatever you call it, but you will need this balance if you want mental health, agility, and a lot of other things for your child. So your mobile phone actually feeds into your left brain, but your right brain wants connections. Your right brain wants games, songs and stories sung physically, not heard on a reel or Alexa singing to you. So that's very, very important. And I think that book bridges that gap.
Yeah. One last word before you get the audio clip going. So this was again John Kennedy's parting words in that beautiful article. What kind of world do you want to live in? Because humanity is not about studying the past, they're about shaping the future. And the future belongs to all of us. And Dr. Swaroop, thanks to you, we understand how to make sure our children are connected with the future, with that thinking that is possible because of Creative Connect. Thank you.